What's going on, world of YouTube? Welcome to the first episode of the Common Sense Podcast. My name is Grandmaster Scott, aka Scott. With me is my co-host, Mr. Finch, aka Finley. Say hi to the people, Finley.
Hola.
Oh, what?
I said hola.
Oh, hola, I thought you said hold on. Whatever, I'm keeping this in.
Okay.
So, today, for our first episode, we've decided to talk about the state of Marvel at the moment, with some of their movies. So, first, I do have to point out, I am not caught up on Secret Invasion yet. I've only seen the first 2 episodes.
Are there only like 4 out right now?
Yeah, and they're planning 6 episodes only. But I'm still behind.
You're not that behind. Oh, you're not that behind.
Yeah, fair. I'm literally...
Did you see Guardians?
Yes, I have seen Guardians Volume 3, and... Well, first of all, I must say, farewell, James Gunn. You will be missed as you work with DC. And second thing I would like to add is, well, that is probably one of the best movies we've had so far with Marvel.
I agree. Well, at least definitely in the current
oh, yeah, totally. Because
phase.
if we're counting the older stuff, then you've got the Spider-Man movies, you've got Captain America Civil War, you have the original Avengers... So, like, there's all good, but when we're in the current phase we're in now, like, talking about phases like we're on TikTok, with a different, like, era or generation. With this current phase we're in right now, I feel like
it's 5 or something.
Yeah. It's honestly, yeah, I think we are phase 5, because phase 4 was with stuff like Black Widow, with, Loki, with WandaVision.
She-Hulk.
Oh yeah, She-Hulk, which was okay. Honestly,
I liked She-Hulk.
Don't get me wrong, it was good, but it wasn't the best, especially when you're comparing it to the Disney Plus Marvel shows. Like, it's not the best of them.
Are you just saying that because of the ending?
Not just the ending. Like, it's got a lot of it that's not good too. Mostly in the form of the comic inaccuracies. Like, the inaccuracies to the comics?
Explain these to me. What are the inaccuracies?
Well, first of all, Titania. Titania is not just...
who cares?
Yeah, well...
The C-list villain. How dare they not do her justice and have her be just like the comic?
Well, what if I told you in the comics, she's in association with Doctor Doom?
Okay.
Alright, I was expecting a bigger reaction, but yeah, she's one of Dr. Doom's...
Well, I just feel like with villains like that, I feel like it matters less. I don't see a lot of big Titania fans out there who would care very much.
That's fair. But, I mean, there's others. Like, Intelligentsia is probably the biggest one. Now, to be fair, I didn't learn about this until, like, 2 months ago when I saw another YouTuber talking about it. But they got Intelligentsia completely wrong. Because, first of all...
Yeah, I'm aware. That is something that did bother me.
Yeah, because for others who aren't familiar, Intelligentsia is not r/nice guys. They are not just a bunch of sexists. In fact, they actually have some women in their group, like Red She-Hulk. Yes, that is a Hulk variant.
I actually didn't know that. The only Intelligentsia lineup I'm aware of was MODOK, Egghead, and the leader. And some other guy I forgot about.
Yeah, but essentially, Intelligentsia is supposed to be like the anti-Illuminati, like the Marvel Illuminati, who were completely dunked on in Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, they were nothing like the comics. How could they? I liked the Illuminati in Multiverse of Madness.
I mean, they were good, and then they got dogged. Like, they got dogged hard by Wanda. Like, Reed Richards, smartest man in the universe, everyone. And he couldn't figure out...
I disagree with that statement. That is such a stupid thing to say.
True.
I feel like that is exactly the smartest man in the world thing to do in that situation. That is
be overconfident in your own knowledge?
Mean. I feel like Reed Richards is super smart, but I feel like because he's super smart, he can be really stupid sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, sure, let's just tell a reality warping witch how to beat our best weapon. And then I'm just gonna punch her as she turns me into spaghetti. And then we just get Captain Carter and Monica Rambeau just completely humbled by her.
These are also different universe variants. For all you know, they're not as experienced as you think.
That's fair, because technically because as we've seen, their Wanda isn't not only that powerful, she's not even a threat. She's just a mother.
Also, this Wanda has had years to, like, hone her abilities.
Not just years. She kind of hit the cheat code button with the Darkhold.
Yeah, the Scarlet Witch, it sees the power of this freaking Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, I mean, in the comics, she is a contender. In the comics, she is a contender for Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, so what is some superpowered space human, an old man, and a really intelligent person gonna do against her?
Okay, fair point. And also,
I feel like what people really hate about that sequence is just the way they die and how they executed it.
Yeah, true. Because, like, the classic, like, Black Bolt can destroy you with one whisper out of his mouth. What mouth? To be fair, I have seen some good memes about that, where it's like, Batman can destroy you with his superpowers. What superpowers? He immediately gets powers. I've seen some good memes like that.
Right.
And then you've got Spaghetti Reed Richards. You've got Captain America, now 50% off, as she gets cut in half. And then Monica Rambeau gets crushed. Like Captain Marvel, the woman who can survive black holes and like exploding planets, gets crushed under a rock.
So people were again, this is a different variant of Captain Marvel. And the Captain Marvel in the Avengers Endgame, like, could withstand the power of, like, Thanos until the Power Stone comes in.
That's true.
And something I think is interesting is that Wanda almost killed Thanos all by herself, and she wasn't even as powerful yet.
That is true. In fact, even in the comics, she's, like, even more powerful. Like, in the comics, she rewrote the universe 3 times.
So I think it is more than likely that the Scarlet Witch could defeat Captain Marvel.
You know what? That is actually a very fair point. But that's not really what I was getting at. It's not the fact that they were all destroyed. It's the fact that Reed Richards messed up. And the reason I'm saying
that is a lot of people's problem, yes.
True, but the reason I'm saying this is because Reed Richards knew that the Scarlet Witch could be powerful because they knew about her having the Darkhold. They knew about her being able to dreamwalk. This is because they had what a
stupid name, Dreamwalk.
Yeah, it is a kind of, but I mean it's Marvel.
Also, like, they have a guy called with Stiltman. The Darkhold before. So
yeah,
I feel like maybe they thought, oh, we got this in the bag. We fought Doctor Strange with the actually I say fought when really he just surrendered. So they don't actually know what they're up against when someone is using the Darkhold.
Fair points. Especially considering we've seen the Darkhold do some crazy stuff in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Technically, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't canon to the MCU. At least that's up for debate.
Isn't it like a parallel canon? Like, it's canon, but it doesn't affect the main MCU?
I don't believe so.
That's what I had heard.
If all of you believe that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon, fine, that's okay. But me, personally, as a fan of Marvel, I don't think it's canon.
Again, to me, I see it's a canon that's inconsequential. Is how I see it. Because, like, it doesn't affect the storyline, but it still happened. It's still there. And I say this mostly because
it's that there's so many contradictions.
Okay, that is fair. Like the whole time travel thing with the monoliths, and wasn't there a whole thing about the multiverse being merged, or am I thinking the Crisis of Infinite Earths from DC?
I didn't even watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I do know people who have, and they've talked about all the inconsistencies.
I mean, that's fair. But like I said, it's an inconsequential canon. Like, nothing that happens there is anything that affects Marvel. So it's not really something we have to bring up and worry about. I'm only saying this because the Darkhold was first introduced in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And
except it's different in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
True.
So Ghost Rider had it at the end of that show. It's like, oh, Ghost Rider doesn't have it anymore. Somehow Wanda has it now, and they haven't explained that.
I mean,
I feel like that's one of the biggest plot holes.
They technically did in Multiverse of Madness, because remember, in the Illuminati verse, Doctor Strange had his own version of the Darkhold, and in that destroyed universe with an evil Strange, he used the Darkhold. So it could just be like the Darkhold exists in every multiverse. So that could be how they explained how Ghost Rider had it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but then suddenly Agatha Harkness had it. It could just be like the Darkhold exists everywhere. Which kind of makes sense, considering how many things already exist between the multiverses. Like how there's so many different Lokis, different Kangs, different Thors, like different variants of the mutants. So that could be how you explain.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, not even what we're getting at right now. We're just going over like what's going on in Marvel in our future. And I was also going over the inconsistencies of She-Hulk. We went on a lot of tangents. So another thing that actually, I think we just covered everything. The Intelligentsia and Titania. Because everything else was actually... I will be honest, like, there was a lot of funny bits, don't get me wrong. Like, that girl who kept showing up at Wong's place, she was hilarious. I don't remember her name, but she was hilarious.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Something with a Y, and it's not where you think.
Yeah. I think it was, like, Cindy with a Y, but
she would say her name, and then she would be like, with a Y, and it's not where you think.
Right, right. But she was still one of the better characters. But also, one of the things I liked they did with She-Hulk, it's not the fourth wall break thing. That may be something part of the She-Hulk comics. But honestly, ever since Deadpool, I don't think anyone can really do fourth wall breaks anymore. At least as well as Deadpool does it.
Well, I feel like that's very, very debatable. But I don't know.
I think She-Hulk
did it really well.
Yeah, she did it well. But it's like, I feel like it's one of those things where, like, the moment someone does something so well, everything else feels like an imitation. Now, okay, I feel like I'm going to be pissing off a ton of feminists by saying all of this, so I need to say this is not because She-Hulk, because of her being She-Hulk, it's just because with the popularity of the Deadpool movies and the Deadpool games and just Deadpool in general, I feel like it's just hard to do something well. It's similar to how Final Fantasy essentially created the concept of changeable classes in RPGs, so everything else just feels like an imitation. I feel like I need to be saying this.
What's the next movie?
Up next was... Actually, one more positive
we should have made a list.
Sure, but also one more positive I have to say with She-Hulk is one of my favorite things they did with this was bringing in so many unknown characters of Marvel. People like Porcupine Man, Mr. Immortality. Manbull, yeah, Leapfrog. Like, they introduced a lot of characters that aren't really remembered in Marvel, and I kind of like that they gave attention to that. I like that. So, something else to bring up with it, Phase 5, Quantumania. Where do I start? I feel like best...
I don't like MODOK.
Yeah.
MODOK is a big, flaming pile of garbage.
Yes, he is. Like, they...
Who floats around.
Yes, he does. Like, they did MODOK.
Like Mr. Electric, except he doesn't have...
Yes! Yes! Thank you! He is just Mr. Electric from Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I wonder who's gonna get that. Let us know in the comments.
No one does, but he is just Mr. Electric.
He is just Mr. Electric. And that's what upsets me, because in the comics, MODOK is honestly kind of threatening and frightening.
My favorite scene of MODOK in Quantumania is when he attacks Hank Pym, because that is where his MODOK comes out.
True, where you just see how he's just a killing machine.
Yes. Mental organism.
Optimized killing? I think it's like mental or mechanical organism designed for optimized killing, I think.
No, it was mechanical mechanized organism only designed for killing. And as Ant-Man pointed out, technically it's MODOK.
I remember that. But yeah, like the scene when he's attacking Hank Pym, we just see his real comic side like shine as he nearly murders Hank Pym. And that was cool.
Yeah.
But again,
I like that. But every other bit with MODOK is not MODOK. He's just not.
They made him the comic relief. When in Marvel Comics, he's not. Sure, his appearance...
I feel like he can be funny, but I feel like they didn't do it right.
I feel like the way that MODOK is usually done as funny in the comics is... I feel like it's because not only is he the giant head in a hover chair, but I feel like the other reason is because in a lot of mediums I've seen him portrayed in, he's a lot like Vector from Despicable Me. You know? Just adding random science terms into everything, always acting with that high and mighty personality, even in the most weird...
I think it's weird that you compared him to a freaking, like, Illumination villain.
Well, Illumination's popularity is on the rise thanks to Mario.
Illumination's okay.
But that's something we can talk about another day, because that is a whole can of worms I've been...
Perhaps in a future episode.
True, future episode.
Uh-huh.
So, with MODOK, but that's usually how he's portrayed. Like, he's always just that, like, I am MODOK, I am your superior. He's always that kind of guy. And, like, anytime he's funny, it's like, how am I being confounded by you? You are nothing to me. You know, that's usually where his comedy shines. He's like a high and mighty...
My favorite MODOK joke comes from the incredible comic series, The Unbelievable Gwenpool, where Gwenpool is fighting MODOK, and the whole time she's like, you have to be running out of ammo soon. He's like, nope, no, I'm not.
Didn't they reference that in the Quantumania movie? Didn't they reference that joke where it's like, you've got to be out of ammo soon?
No, they did not, tragically. Oh, yeah, I was watching Quantumania just the other day.
Oh.
I was watching it again with my uncle, and he's very nerdy, so he immediately pointed out all the inaccuracies that would go in quantum means. It's just like, this would never happen. You actually can't see light at the quantum level or something.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's like when...
Like, it's true, but it's still a Marvel movie.
True. It's like when Neil deGrasse Tyson came out and called out Guardians Volume 2. It was like, you can't just blow up a planet like that. It's like, you can't beat Ego. Like, he just went on his Neil deGrasse Tyson rant, and it's just kind of funny.
That is funny.
Yeah. So
I'm curious how he feels about Pluto being a planet now again.
He's probably having conniptions. He's probably like, dang it, all of those years wasted. No. He's probably doing like the Darth Vader yell. No!
That should be a meme.
That should be.
Someone make that a meme.
Someone pioneer that. Like, make it the next Grimace Shake.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I actually tried to do the Grimace Shake
You totally missed out.
Yeah, I tried to do it 2 times. The first time I tried to do it, their ice cream machine was broken. What a surprise. And
fantastic.
The other time I tried to do it, it was at the time when they had stopped doing the Grimace Shakes at McDonald's. So I completely missed it.
Oh, well.
Another thing I want to talk about... Yeah, MODOK. So, to anyone who's unfamiliar with MODOK and why we're upset, in the comics, MODOK is not just Darren Cross after he met Kang the Conqueror. No, instead, he was an AIM scientist, AIM just being a weapons dealing company, and he tried to experiment with making an ultimate weapon. Long story short, he ended up with a giant head and a shrunken body. So the rest of
This reminds me of something.
Oh, what?
MODOK. Darren Cross was a fantastic villain, right?
True.
In the first Ant-Man movie.
Right, he was just
he was a formidable
I'll do what
foe.
You couldn't, Hank Pym. I'll weaponize the Yellow Jackets. All weaponized him particles.
He wasn't comedic or anything. Like he could be comedic, but
I mean, he was when he flushed the guy down the toilet.
He was a terrifying and formidable businessman in a yellow jacket suit. He was awesome. And this movie, Quantumania, just takes that and absolutely spits on it.
Yes, it does. Like, not only does it ruin the MODOK of the comics, but it ruins the Darren Cross of the first Ant-Man.
Yeah, I know. I want to know why they did that. Like, oh, we have this great villain. Let's bring him back and make him 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, let's just turn this guy who tried to weaponize something, tried to use for world peace, and let's make him a joke. And while we're at it, let's make MODOK a joke.
Also, he doesn't even have much of a motivation in that movie.
No, he's just like, I'm back and better than ever. It's like, he just decided to put on Slim Shady. And he's like, guess who's back? Back again. Darren's back. Like, that's kind of what he was trying to do. But it was like, it was terrible.
Yes, now I have returned in my Mr. Electric cosplay, and I will destroy everything.
It's so much like Mr. Electric. It upsets me.
I prefer Mr. Electric, honestly.
Yeah, he was a better villain. Because he did the comedy bit right. He was honestly kind of a commentary on how
I know everything. You know nothing.
Yeah.
That was a quote from the movie, by the way.
I actually remember
people who haven't seen that movie.
I remember that. But it was like good. Plus, he was a commentary on how kids can see certain adults. How they're just like these terrifying figures who get their way. It was good. It was an underrated movie, man. And then up next with talking about Quantumania is Kang the Conqueror, our next big threat. And honestly, a lot of people, from what I've heard, a lot of people did not like the post-credit scene where you just saw all the Kangs in their outfits. But you have to understand something, everyone.
I loved that.
Yeah. Plus, like, not only was that just a good sign how it's like what you killed was just like one man of an infinite army, but all of the different like outfits, that's part of Kang's arsenal. It's like there's like so many different Kangs across so many different timelines. Like that one who was a pharaoh, that's a Kang. That's
Roma Tut.
Yeah, Roma Tut. And I think they're going to be introducing him in a second season of Moon Knight. It makes sense.
Iron Lad better be in this, because if you didn't know, he's actually in Kang variant.
Oh, yeah. Wait, who again? I'm sorry.
Iron Lad.
Oh, wait, I think I've heard of Iron Lad. Yeah, he's that one Kang who turned good. And didn't he join the Young Avengers?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so having him introduced would be good, especially considering in the comics, he's part of the final assault with the Young Avengers fighting against Kang the Conqueror. Although, he's not the one who beats Kang the Conqueror.
I actually don't know who does.
Everyone's favorite anti-hero who's technically doing the right thing, Doctor Doom.
All right. Never mind, I do remember this.
And honestly, I'm stoked for this because, truth is, I didn't know much about Doctor Doom until I watched Death Battle. And now he's like one of my favorite Marvel characters.
I have no idea what the heck Death Battle is.
Oh, it's a YouTube channel that's basically like what if this person fought this person, but they animate it and they try to gauge like their best feats.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're well known and they're pretty good. My favorite death battle of all of them is Majin Buu of Dragon Ball versus Kirby.
Kirby won.
Yes, of course he does. Like, sorry, spoiler alert, but yeah, Kirby dominates.
I didn't even know that, but I was so sure Kirby would win.
But yeah, they've done a lot of other good matchups. They did Doctor Doom versus Lex Luthor, Iron Man versus Batman. I just realized we're kind of
getting off topic here.
Oh, true. So, Doctor Doom is the one who beats Kang in the Secret Wars comics, which, from what I've heard, they're doing Secret Wars in Phase 6. And we know that there's going to be a reboot of Fantastic Four, and yes. I am really stoked. Also, I'm just doing this as hopeful thinking.
They better bring back John Krasinski instead of freaking Adam Driver playing him. At least I think it was Adam Driver.
I know Adam Driver was a
about
part
Adam Driver playing Mr. Fantastic when I think John Krasinski is the perfect, definitive Mr. Fantastic. I don't care that he was in Multiverse of Madness for like 5 minutes. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I feel like they should bring that one back, especially like even if you make the argument is like it's a multiverse, like some could look different, some could also look the exact same.
That is true.
In fact, they could make it even more different if they just shave his beard off. Like if they take away the beard, you can just
do not get rid of the beard. I feel like John Krasinski looks best with the beard. Please do not.
All right, fair enough.
It doesn't look right. I feel like if that was freaking Reed Richards, that would be weird. Keep the beard.
Okay,
please,
that's fair. Well, what I'm saying is we know who they're going to be casting as the Thing, as Fantastic. I don't remember his name. I do know that he's a black Jewish guy, so they're going more comic accurate there.
Is he a black Jewish guy? He looks orange to me.
His human form is.
Right.
Well, I know it's at least...
Can he go back to being human? I didn't know you could do that.
I don't think he can. I don't believe he can. I think that's like part of his powers. I think he's stuck as the Thing forever. But I know when he was human, he was... I don't know if he was black. I do know he was Jewish in the comics, though. But we have the...
Did you know that Moon Knight is Jewish?
Oh, I did not. Oh, wait, actually, Yes, I did know that. Well, not the comic variant. I know the one they did for the Moon Knight TV show was.
I'm pretty sure the comic one is also Jewish.
Ah, nice. But what I'm trying to get at is, I hope, and I'm only saying this because he was let go from DC, but I hope they get Henry Cavill to be Dr. Doom. I feel like he'd be a good fit.
That would be very interesting, I think, actually. That sounds cool, actually. Also, Henry Cavill, like, I don't even like Superman that much, but I feel like he was a fantastic Superman.
Everyone feels like
and now he's being replaced with freaking David Cornsweet.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people loved Henry Cavill as Superman, even with the bad CGI. But, like, they all loved his character, and he loved, like, it's actually been confirmed that he loved playing Superman. And now he's just being cut for dumb reasons.
Gotcha, it's because he's too old.
Oh, well. Well, I still feel like he would be good as Doctor Doom. But he is still seriously one of my favorite characters of the MCU. Especially considering a whole part of his character is that even though he's trying to conquer the world as a dictator, he's actually right to do that. Because, you see, in the comics, Doctor Doom goes back into the future into like multiple different possibilities, and the only ones that weren't prosperous were the ones that weren't under his rule. Not to mention
that is very interesting.
Not to mention that the Panther God of Wakanda, Bast, he specifically told Dr. Doom that the only way to save the world is to conquer it.
Actually, Bast is a cat god.
Well, he's associated with the Black Panther.
God of felines. Also, pretty sure Bast is a female.
She is, but I'm talking about the one in MCU. They actually called it Bast. At least I believe.
Wait, give me a sec.
Alright, as I'll say this. So, yeah, basically it's his destiny and mission to save the world by conquering it.
Right.
Not to mention, another cool thing with Doctor Doom is just his armor. Because if you didn't know, that armor is one of the most powerful pieces of equipment of the MCU.
That is true.
Because first of all, it has like chrome is like a bunch of insane inventions, like a bomb that turns things to chrome, a bomb that sends things 3 seconds into the past. He has like a size-changing ray. He has a machine that can drain all energy from anything, including beings like the Beyonder, who's like one of the most powerful beings of Marvel in general. And my favorite accessory is that he has a fragment of the shard that Jesus Christ was crucified on.
That's such a weird thing to have.
Yeah, but it did help when he was being possessed by a vampire.
Well, that's good.
It wards off vampiric possession. Plus, the dude's magic is immensely powerful. Contender for Sorcerer Supreme.
Okay, so Guardians 3, I feel like should be our next topic.
Yes. Actually, one more thing to say with Quantumania. Worst part of the whole thing, Luis wasn't in there.
Right.
Like,
anyway, Guardians.
All right,
Guardians
with
3.
that out of the way, Guardians 3, one of the best we have so far. Like, I'm not saying it's the best because, for one, there are soon to be other movies that they're going to be introducing, but so far, it's my favorite of the MCU.
Right.
And I feel like a lot to do with that is the fact that it's like a farewell note from James Gunn.
It is. It just is.
It is. And it's a very well done farewell note.
You know, like, something interesting about the movie.
Yeah?
Actually, not really about the movie, but of the MCU. Is whenever there's like an important milestone, they change up the opening scene, you know, like the Marvel Studios. Like,
right, I remember that.
You know, like for Wakanda Forever,
Guardians they just 3, had the T'Challa thing for Guardians 3.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, and I do like that. I like it's like that good sign. It's like everything changes now. I like that.
We just don't have to get those, so it's so nice when we do.
Yeah. And Guardians 3, it was just one of the best. It's like...
I loved it.
We had perfect farewells for all of the characters. We had a setup for the new Guardians. We had a good, like, storyline with Rocket. I feel like they did the High Evolutionary well.
They did. Like, I don't even know that much about the High Evolutionary before this movie, but he is a fantastic villain. Like,
yes.
He doesn't have an excuse for anything. He just has
wants
a goal.
To do it. He just wants to make
He is a heartless monster with a god complex, and he is a fantastic villain.
Yes, he is. And for comic context, the High Evolutionary was just a guy. He was just a scientist who wanted to make the perfect race, the perfect species, and like the perfect society.
The perfect society.
Basically, but when they found out all of his inhumane experiments, he just kind of fled from one country to another island, and then eventually he just went to outer space to make Counter Earth, where he did all of his experiments.
Wait, is Counter Earth from the comics?
Yeah, it is actually.
It's not actually called that in the comics.
It is actually called Counter Earth in the comics. It's supposed to be like the better Earth. Like with the people that respect its ecosystem, people that aren't constantly at war or fighting. It's supposed to be like him trying to make the perfect civilization.
You know, fun fact about Rocket Raccoon, that the High Evolutionary did not actually create him.
Actually, I didn't know
that.
In
the comics.
I didn't know that,
He was created by robots.
Right, he was...
I'm not joking.
I actually did know this, because Death Battle did one with Rocket Raccoon. And
it is stupid that he was originally just created by robots.
Yeah.
And the robots just like, ooh, let's make a raccoon thing. This is so much better.
Technically, he's not a raccoon in the comics, but he actually is.
Right,
He's just an alien from a race that just happened to look like raccoons and just happened to share features with raccoons. And the whole thing was they tried to make him into a warden for a space prison.
Yeah, yes, I prefer the MCU's version.
Oh, yeah, MCU has a perfect.
Like, it is fantastic.
It's just, hey, like, I'm just like, oh, wisecracking raccoon, not a raccoon with a ton of guns. Like, they did it perfect there. And
I love Rocket so much.
Yeah, but they did, I feel like they did the High Evolutionary so well in an MCU. Not just as a comic adaptation, just trying to make him like this god complex who wants to make a better Earth, but also just as a villain in general. Because you're right, he was just a horrifying, abusive monster with a god complex. They did it so well.
That is true.
Plus, the inclusion...
good. It was so good.
Yeah, plus they've now introduced Adam Warlock, who's like a big player to the Guardians in the comics.
Oh yeah, some people hate how they made him funny and not like big, serious, tough gold guy, but I loved it so much. I feel like he's going to be more comic... I feel like he's going to be more comic accurate in the future, but I love this Adam Warlock.
Yeah, I like him too. Plus, I've seen interpretations of Adam Warlock that is just a big child. So,
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with him for that. In fact, I feel like they still did him very well. And again, they could just make him go, like, further comic accurate in the future, because he technically has two personalities. There's Adam Warlock, and then there's supposed to be, like, a evil variant of himself that he can just, like, turn into. I think. But I do know he's still going to be, like, an important person, because if you didn't know, Adam is technically part Celestial.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, in the comics, he was made from Celestial technology. So that's what's made him, like, so powerful. He's like a human-sized Celestial.
That's weird.
Yeah.
You want to move on to the next film, which technically hasn't come out yet, but I would like to talk about Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse. Is that part of the MCU? I don't know if it is or not.
What'd you say?
Is Across the Spider-Verse a part of the MCU?
Well, it's in the same multiverse, but not technically a part of the main MCU.
All right, fine.
But I don't want to talk about
it. Actually, I think it is a part of it.
It is great.
I think it is a part of it, since we've had moments where they've gone to the live-action worlds that are a part of the MCU, like when he went to the convenience store in Venom.
Yeah, well, technically that's not the MCU. Venom is its own universe.
Yeah, but it's already crossed over thanks to No Way Home.
Yes, but the Prowler from the MCU was in it, played by Donald Glover. I loved it.
Donald Glover, like, I love that they did that one, and I have heard that that's actually confirmation of a live-action Miles Morales Spider-Man movie.
Okay, so, I'm not sure if that's true, but okay.
I don't know either, but it could just be a rumor, or it could be hopeful thinking, but I hope they do anyway.
I was so excited.
But Across the Spider-Verse. Oh my gosh. Like, that is...
Also, one of my favorite parts of this movie was, in fact, the only Obi Brown.
The what?
Spider-Punk.
Oh, yeah, Spider-Punk.
That's his name, Obi Brown.
Yes.
Obi Brown.
Yes.
That is his name. He was so good.
He was awesome.
I have a fun fact about Spider-Punk in this film. Right. He was animated on 3s, while everyone else was animated on 1s.
Oh.
I'm not sure if anyone actually knows a lot what that means.
I don't,
because
but it's
I don't think everyone's very animation heavy, but
I'm not.
The point is he's animated differently just to show that he's just like on a different beat than everyone else, because he doesn't really care about the Spider Society. He's just there to look after Gwen and Miles.
All right, that actually makes sense. I like that. But that, seriously, is at the moment... I said that Volume 3 was like my favorite of the MCU, but when it comes to movies in general now, I think Across the Spider-Verse has become my favorite. Like, even more...
It's not an MCU movie, but yeah.
I meant, like, in general. Like, when it comes to movies in general, this has now become my favorite movie.
It is a great movie.
It's like, I've loved a lot of the jokes. The animation was peak.
Oh,
fantastic.
Yeah. Before I saw this movie, everyone was like, oh, Spot's not going to be that cool. He's such a D-list villain.
Oh, Spot was so
absolutely good. Fantastic. I kept saying, oh, you think that? I think Spot's going to be awesome and perfect.
He's not really a D-list villain. And, I mean, in a lot of cases...
He's not really... he wasn't popular. No one really cared about him or respected him. And that's reflected in this movie.
He's just one of those characters whose powers are, like, really overpowered, but he's just kind of regarded as, like, you're just another one. Which I feel like they still did here. Like, they kind of did that same thing where it's... But they did it well, where it's like, I'm not just your villain of the week. I am your nemesis. And I think they did it very well. Like, especially with him constantly getting stronger. Fantastic. Like, his portals...
There was a deleted scene in the movie.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't think it exists at all, but in the movie, there was supposed to be a bar that he would go to, and all the villains of the multiverse would just be like... You're such a loser, Spot. You're just some weird-looking Teletubby thing.
Right, I actually know this scene.
And at the end, there was going to be an after-credit scene where he just shows up,
just like in destroys. Yeah, I have heard of that. And the bar he goes to is actually a thing in the comics. It's called Bar Nowhere. It's basically like a bar, an underground bar in New York for a lot of like New York supervillains, like Scorpion and Green Goblin and Rhino, like for a lot of those villains, that's just where they like hang
out.
Yeah,
that reminds me of a villain that made an appearance in this movie.
Which one?
The Armadillo.
Oh yeah, the Armadillo.
He was in it.
Yeah, for like one scene, and he got tased.
Movie, but I'm so happy he was in it.
It's one of those things where it's like, I love when superhero movies from properties like DC and Marvel, I love when they do something and they bring in like the lesser known people of Marvel and like DC.
As
like
do I.
Armadillo, again with She-Hulk when I said Mr. Immortality. Honestly, his scenes were some of the funniest. It's just like anytime he just didn't want to be in a conversation, he just jumps out a window, just shh. Like, and he just,
right.
That was
no.
I love those scenes where it's just like shh, and then it just like throws out a car, gets back up, and just walks away. Like,
I really liked the Renaissance Vulture.
The Renaissance Vulture was so funny. Like he was also like so threatening too.
Dr. Mask with the laser, that was awesome.
That was awesome, and he also just presented himself as such a good threat.
Oh yeah, a fun fact is that Gwen has the same stupid voice as Miles for when she's Spider-Man. She puts on that same stupid voice that Miles did.
You mean the hey, or like the oh
yes.
no, bro?
Well, that. But when he speaks to his father, he does that weird deep voice like, "I look forward to working with you," like
actually,
that.
That's not just a Miles thing. That's a lot of Spider like variants.
Yeah,
a lot
I know.
Of them will do
I still love that detail. How Gwen is just another Spider-Man, and she does the same thing.
Yeah. Also, I think one of my favorite jokes, like some of my favorite jokes in Across the Spider-Verse, are like when Patrick, I think I don't remember. Moonbatten Spider-Man.
Yes.
Like I love his like rant of explaining.
I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but he's
if you showed it to me, if you wrote it out, I would be able to pronounce it. I just can't remember how it's spelled now.
Just say his comic book superhero name is Spider-Man India.
So Spider-Man India. Okay, so Spider-Man India. I loved him just like explaining India, just like explaining like chai tea, like chai already means tea. He's like, you're just calling it tea. Like, that's hilarious.
When I asked you for some coffee with room for cream.
And also, that one small bit where it's like, this is where the British stole our stuff.
This is where the traffic is. There's also where the traffic is. There's traffic here, too. This is where the British stole all of our stuff.
Spider-Man India was one of the best parts, and I
think he's really interesting because he's a Spider-Man that hasn't suffered yet.
He hasn't, and he's just like so happy with his life. And then Spider-Man Miles ended his canon event, which, can I say canon events? I know they were supposed to be treated as such like a serious thing in Across the Spider-Verse, but if you go onto the internet now, it's like a giant meme. Where it's like, this had to happen, it's my canon event. You know?
Actually, I'm going to go on a of a tangent here. First, canon event is called something different in the main MCU. I feel like those are just the Nexus events that they were talking about. Yeah,
the Nexus events, the fixed points.
No, that's the wrong one. Actually, they're absolute points in time. So, in What If, the Heartless Strange was trying to fix his timeline because he was upset because he couldn't have his girlfriend or whatever.
Right.
And then the Ancient One showed up. It's like, you cannot change absolute points in time. And it looks so similar. Because that happened in Multiverse of Madness as well with the broken dimension that the other Evil Strange had. That is the same thing that happened to Spider-Man India in that movie. The absolute point in time was broken.
The world just like destroying. Also, I have to say right now,
I love that consistency.
If there were any other Spider people there, like if there was MCU Spider-Man, if Insomniac Spider-Man was more than just a cameo, Miguel would be so shut down. Like there'd be
there are so many theories about how Miguel is wrong about this multiverse thing, and I think he is too, because there's a lot of. If you look closely at the movie, there's a lot of moments where you can see holes in his logic.
There are, where it's like, with it, stuff like, okay, so like, if Miles was never supposed to exist, then how is, and like, he was supposed to be the Prowler, and his universe, like, is it because they like traded positions? That doesn't make any sense. Because that still wouldn't call him an anomaly. That would just mean, like, everything's still the same. But no, it's...
Also, technically, by Miguel's logic, Kingpin started all of this.
True.
This is Kingpin.
Right, because he made the collider.
Something interesting I found about the flashback sequence where Miguel was explaining his whole backstory.
Right.
The entire Spider Society is not following him blindly, because you can see them there.
True.
When his universe is collapsing.
Right.
So I feel like they're really following him out of fear of what could happen.
Right. Instead of just seeing, like, are there ways to avoid the canon event? Especially since they were able to, like, contain it for a bit. And since all spider people are, like, geniuses to an extent, it's like, why don't they all just brainstorm how to stop canon events while not destroying the Earth? And, like, destroying the universe.
Actually, if there's a character I would like to see in the Spider-Verse movies that isn't actually a Spider-Man, I would like to see Reed Richards, and let me explain why. There is something called the Council of Reed.
Yes! I'm familiar with the Council of Reeds. The Council of Reeds.
I want to see that. That would be hilarious.
That would be funny. Just like the Council, like... I don't know how they would, like, introduce the Council of Reeds.
Neither do I, but I would like to see it personally. I just think that would be fun.
Yeah, and I am familiar with the Council of Reeds, because I know there's one comic panel that actually does explain something with the Infinity Stones, where we learn that Infinity Stones cannot be used outside of their own universe. Because it's three members, Reed Richards, and Reed Richards, tried to use their own Infinity Stones and Infinity Gauntlets outside of their universes, and they didn't work.
Also, I'm sad that Spider-Man wasn't in it.
You mean Spider-Man?
No, Spider-Man.
Wait,
the Japanese Spider-Man.
Oh! Yeah, true. I mean, technically
I don't care about Spider-Man. I want Spider-Man, and I want him to be in live action. That would be absolutely hilarious to see against all the animation.
That actually would be funny, because he would just... I'm not actually familiar with Spider-Man.
Well, he was this incredibly memed-on Spider-Man who was like... He was a Japanese Spider-Man.
Was he like a joke on anime, or...
I have no idea what they were trying to do, but he had a Megazord, so...
Oh my god! Like, imagine Miguel O'Hara, like, you cannot stop a canon event. I can! It's just like a Megazord Spider-Man.
Like, he doesn't use it all the time. Also, one of his famous moves, you can't see, but I'm making quotation marks. One of his famous moves is spider string instead of web.
Spider string?
Spider string!
Across the Spider-Verse was perfect. Another joke I loved was because it was a callback to that post-credits scene and that meme, where it's like, catch Spider-Man, and all of them just like pointing to each other, like that scene where it's like, you're not Spider-Man, I'm Spider-Man, you're the imposter. Like, I love that they referenced that with the scene of all of the Spider-Men just like pointing at each other.
Right.
Like, I love that scene. Also, the scene when it looks like Miles is cornered, is like, there's nowhere to run, and then he jumps towards the camera because there was a window. He's like, oh, my bad, guys. I didn't know he could jump out the window.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I guess there was somewhere to run.
Yeah, I loved that show. That movie just had so many good jokes to it. Like,
I loved the part where, like, Miguel said, everyone stop Spider-Man, and then one of the Spider-Man comes out and is like, there he is! And, like, and then the guy's like, where?
Right, I remember that scene.
And then Miguel comes from behind. He's like, he's behind you! He's on your back!
Right, I remember that scene. That was so good. And the way the movie ended, because first of all, one thing I heard, apparently that scene where Miles is chased by all of the spider people, apparently that scene took 4 years to animate. It was that intense. And I feel like...
I've been told apparently that, like, allegedly, Spider-Punk took 3 years to animate.
I heard that same thing, and honestly, those were 3 years and 4 years well spent. Because they did everything so well. Like, Spider-Punk was hilarious. Like, when he takes off the mask, like, how are you so cool even with the mask off? It's like...
I was this cool the whole time.
Yeah, I was cool. They did him so well. And all of the Easter eggs, like Insomniac Spider-Man, like David Glover.
PS4 Spider-Man.
Yes! Like, that was so good. And also, apparently they had Spooderman in there. That old Microsoft Paint meme. Like, they had him in there, too.
I didn't notice. Oh, yeah. Fun fact about the Lego sequence. That was made by a YouTuber who made, like, a Lego version of the Into the Spider-Verse character.
And this is why
the Spider-Verse trailer. And then they were like, "This is really cool.
This is why Hollywood.
Let's get him."
This is why Hollywood needs to outsource more to YouTubers because
I bet that guy was so happy that J.K. Simmons played J. Jonah Jameson in his animation.
Right? Like, I feel like, I am serious, like, Hollywood needs to outsource more to YouTubers just because we understand things like audiences and critic scores better just because we have to deal with it on such a more toxic level.
That is true.
It's like,
that is true.
People just think like, oh, you're a YouTuber, you just do like random things on the internet. But no, it's like, we have to deal with a lot more, like, toxic people. We have to deal with a lot more haters. We have to deal with the algorithm fluctuating view rates. Like, we have to deal with a lot, like, and things on a bigger scale than just like Hollywood watching stuff, because with the concept of like streaming nowadays, like, you can put your stuff anywhere, but here we don't have many platforms because so many platforms have so many different audiences and algorithms. It's like we have to keep up.
I would like to point out the scene where Spot goes into Mrs. Chang's store.
Right.
He's like,
this isn't the weirdest
why
thing.
Why are you so chill about this? You act like a supernatural entity comes into your store every week.
And she's like, well...
Can I say take some gum?
Yeah, it's like, if he had met Venom, that would have been like such an eye-opener for Spot. Like, imagine like at that point, like Venom just like walks in, is like, who's this guy? And it's like, I'm Spot. All right, are you like robbing the place? Well, I wasn't really planning on it. Okay, cool. I
can't really get a job anywhere since I look like this, so I've turned to a life of crime.
True. I feel like still that interaction would be like, well, are you doing crime now? And he'd be like, well, not at the moment. And be like, all right, carry on. I feel like that's what that kind of interaction would be like. It would be like, then the moment Spot still starts doing something evil, that's when he would go Venom. And I feel like Spot would just like...
I actually rewatched Venom, the first one, the other day.
I haven't actually seen Venom or Venom Let There Be Carnage, but it's on my to-do list of things to watch.
It's good. It's good.
That's what I've heard.
I want the bartender from No Way Home to come back. Also, fun fact, he was played by Danny Rojas. Well, the actor for Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso. I want him to come back in Venom 3, and it will be funny because they don't know each other anymore because he would be a different variant.
That would be funny. It was like, hey, can I get my usual? Your what? Like, my usual. Sorry, I haven't met you, sir. Like, I feel like that would be a good joke. But also, speaking on Venom, I know this isn't technically phase 5 at the moment, but... that post-credit scene at the end of No Way Home, when the Venom was left behind.
Right, that's stupid. Stupid, nonsense thing.
Well, you call it that. I call it an introduction to a second Venom in the MCU.
Yeah, I know, like, I'm happy we're going to get Venom in the MCU, but personally, from, like, the perspective of me, I don't think that makes sense, because why wouldn't the universe reset and have that drop of Venom go back with him?
Well, because think on this. The original Venom backstory is first the symbiote found Spider-Man. Spider-Man had him for a bit, but then he wanted to get him out when he realized it was making him more mean and evil. And then the symbiote left him and would go to find Eddie Brock, who would become the ultimate Venom. So we need to have that scene in the MCU.
I've had this conversation too many times.
Like, I see that's why they did that. Plus, it could have been a thing where it's like
I know why they
fragment of it had to break off.
It doesn't make sense to me. Like, not from narrative, just from the laws of the universe. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, when it comes to the symbiotes, maybe it could have been a thing where it's like a fragment of it wanted to like gain sentience and spread off. Maybe this was like how Venom became to be in this universe. Like, maybe
I am happy that maybe it's because it's like a canon event or something.
It's a canon event. Everything's a canon event now. There's like that time Peter Parker went to get a scone at a Starbucks. That is a canon event. Like, the concept is just funny nowadays. It's just, like, I saw this one animation where like Goku is deciding to fight Spider-Man because he heard it was pretty strong. It's like, right. Spider-Man, you have to fight him. Why do I have to fight Goku? It's a canon event. Trust me. Like, I'm not trusting you. It's Goku. Like, I've seen, like, it's just that I've just heard it so much as a joke nowadays. You know?
But I am excited for Tom Hardy Venom to come to the MCU.
Oh, that
I love Venom so much. He's so funny.
That's what I've heard. I've heard a lot of people like this iteration of Venom. Like, this iteration of Eddie.
He's not what some people wanted, but he is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. And also kind of worse because despite what a lot of people think when it comes to Venom, in the comics, he's actually quite lighthearted.
That's true.
Like, even though
I would like to read Venom Lethal Protector. That would be fun.
Oh, Lethal Protector. I thought he was called Agent Venom.
No.
Oh.
That's a different character.
Like, I didn't know that. That was like Flash Thompson with Venom, I think, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
But there's a comic about Venom that's called Venom Lethal Protector.
I don't think I've heard of Lethal Protector.
Well, like, in Venom 2, he talks about, let's be called the Lethal Protectors.
Oh.
And Eddie is like, that's a stupid name. And at the end, he's like, so we're the Lethal Protectors now.
That is a good joke.
And it was a joke to the comic.
I like when stuff.
The first movie, and I don't know about the second, but I know the first movie was originally based off the comic, The Lethal Protector.
Oh, that's interesting.
I would like to read it.
Yeah. But,
I saw it at a comic book store once.
And I'm just not realizing something. When we're talking about Flash Thompson being Agent Venom, that means, like, with this Venom being introduced in 616, that means we can get this 616 Flash to be Agent Venom.
Okay, that is technically true, but traditionally he is older. Like, Flash is usually older before when he becomes Agent Venom.
Well, it might still work out, because, I mean, there's still going to be plenty of time in between.
Like, he's almost through college. Like, he's going to college, so once he's done with that, boom, go become Agent Venom. I think Flash gets enlisted in the military, and then he becomes Agent Venom, so let's do that. That would be interesting.
True. Plus, I mean, I still say this is a good thing, because now we have a reason to have... Because remember, in the Venom movies, they don't have Spider-Man. So it makes sense that we're doing it...
I don't.
Right, so it makes sense that we're doing it here, because maybe it's like this like fragment of Venom sensed Spider-Man somewhere, and it just decided to like go with him. That could have been it. Could have been like, again, could have been a canon event. It's like Spider-Man has to have Venom, then Venom has to leave Spider-Man, and then it would bond to Eddie Brock, and they would become Spider-Man's greatest enemy. So I see it as a good thing, because now we just have these sequences ready to make a Spider-Man Venom like rivalry.
Venom.
Huh?
Nothing. I was.
Yeah, so I am looking forward to when that eventually happens, and I am looking forward to the Fantastic Four movie coming out soon, and I really do hope it's going to be Henry Cavill being Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom.
I feel like Henry Cavill could do a good Victor Von Doom.
That would be fun.
Yeah. And then later...
I still hate MODOK.
Oh, yeah, MODOK's the worst. Like, I can't believe they just... the concept of taking a killing machine and making him the comic relief is the equivalent of if you took Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees and you decided to put them in Sesame Street. He's like, Elmo wants to be the new friend. Who's the
Nightmare on it. Wait, Nightmare on that Sesame Street.
Oh, I think that's actually a horror game. It's actually funny because I think I actually saw someone play that a long time ago, and
I'm upset. I'm not the first person to think of that.
True. But, like, imagine something like that. Like, I don't know what's made a new friend this Halloween. Who do we have today? You just have the Halloween score playing as Michael Myers appears. He's like...
Right.
Like, not just appears, like, he would appear probably with, like, the intended guest star just, like, being dragged by the collar dead. Like, did you just kill our new friend? And he's just, like, silent. He's like, ah! And then suddenly, Sesame Street is sponsored by the letter of the day. B! B for bloodshed. Like, I feel like that'd be a good... That parody exists somewhere, probably. There's probably some, like, crossover like that. That would be hilarious. I think we've run out of... Oh, wait, Thor Love and Thunder.
Right.
That's technically...
I wasn't that big of a fan of it.
Not a lot of people.
My main problem with that movie is that Taika Waititi... What?
Oh, I thought you were going to say your main problem was Gore the God Butcher.
He could have been better, but I really liked his performance. Anyway, Taika Waititi could have done a better job at meshing the dark bits with the light bits. I feel like if you wanted to do a dark Thor movie with freaking Gore the freaking God Butcher, Taika Waititi, I don't believe is the guy to do it. He's a more lighthearted director, I would say.
And what's even more is that if you wanted to have a director that could balance comedy to, like, dark tones, they already got
I feel like it can be done. I feel like you can still have it be fun.
Not only can that happen, they already hired a director who did that with Multiverse of Madness. The guy who did that has done things that were like a horror comedy parody before.
Sam Raimi.
Yeah, Sam Raimi. Because, I mean, like, he did the Rambo series. You know, that thing where a guy cuts off his own hand because it turns evil, then replaces it with a chainsaw. So he's done the concept of, like, horror comedy. So, like, why didn't they do Sam... Is it just because Taika Waititi made it Ragnarok popular, so they just did that?
I think so.
Well,
I still feel like you can have it be funny and have it be dark at the same time. I just feel like he didn't do it well. I feel like he could have...
That is the biggest problem.
I understand Thor is kind of a goofy character, but he could...
Yeah.
That movie kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
He did.
I did like Russell Crowe, though. Zeus.
Who?
Russell Crowe. He played Zeus.
Your audio's kind of dying.
No, it isn't.
Who were you saying, though?
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe! Who was it? Who did Russell Crowe do again? Was he...
Zeus.
Zeus. The whole thing with Omnipotent City was cool. It was cool. Although I feel like that scene could have been better if that was the point when Gore entered. Because this whole thing was Gore the God Butcher. Yet we only see him kill...
He didn't butcher that much.
No, he didn't. And the reason why a lot of people didn't like this was because...
Butcher. God Butcher.
What?
They really butchered Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah, they did.
I'm joking. I still really liked him.
He was good, but comparing him to his comic variant, it's like the equivalent of comparing Darth Vader to Anakin Skywalker from Phantom Menace. You know, it's like there's such a difference that it's kind of upsetting.
Well, I feel like that's different because Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader...
Well,
like, young Skywalker and Darth Vader are, like, freaking 50 years apart.
Yeah, but it's still just, like, that joke Star Wars fans like do. Like you go from, I find your lack of faith disturbing, to, yippee!
Try spinning. That's a cool trick.
Yeah, alright. Now this is pod racing! Like, the same kid who did that line would grow up to become the power to destroy universes. There's nothing compared to the power of the Force. You know? It's like, it's just that. But, like, they also technically got Gore the God Butcher, like, wrong to his origin story. Like, they still got the whole, he was from a race that was the gods, but how we got the Necro Sword was different. What actually happened...
I don't care. They can't even do the symbiote without Sony being like, what, that's
Oh, true, because technically, to anyone who doesn't know, the Necrosword is a symbiote.
Actually, it's the sword of a symbiote god.
Yeah, but it is also technically itself a symbiote.
Yes, technically.
But yeah, it's also the sword wielded by the symbiote god Knull.
That's his name, Knull?
Yeah.
That's just a regular name.
Yeah, but it's spelled Knoll. It's got that silent K in it.
He's still just Knull.
Yeah. So, it's like, the Necrosword was cool, but he also didn't get it while, after being rejected from a god who had it next to a corpse. He actually got the sword when two gods were fighting over the sword. And then Gorr just picks up the sword, bonds with the Necrosword, and then kills the two of them. Then he becomes Gorr the God Butcher. But again, the other thing I didn't like is how little Gorr the God Butcher butchered gods. It's like, we saw him kill, one, and then, we heard he had killed others off screen. And then we saw
we did see some, when they were like, oh, he killed people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I feel like the whole thing with Omnipotent City, that would have been a good time to have Gorr the God Butcher come out. Just have him, appear, and he's, killing a bunch of gods. That would have been cool. Although, Omnipotent City still had some funny moments, when Zeus blows off the disguise Zeus is wearing, but he goes too far.
Put your clothes back on.
Yeah, he's just naked. He's chained, surrounded by a bunch of gods. We're just seeing him naked, and he's just Oh, I did like
Captain Marvel 2.
Captain Marvel 2. That would be good. I mean,
I want to go on to that.
Technically, what we're getting are the Marvels. What we're getting is What we're getting is the Marvels, and it's supposed to have both Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and Miss Marvel. Which I feel like, am I the only one who didn't? Am I also in the list of people who didn't see Miss Marvel?
I saw it.
I didn't, and I honestly don't really have a desire to.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Honestly, all I really know is a lot of people were upset with how they handled their powers.
Well, I feel like you should probably at least do some research because her origin is way different than it was in the comics. It still kind of pisses me off.
I know what her origin is. I know that she's an Inhuman, and that her
powers
came from the
talking about in the movie. It's different. Oh. She's not Inhuman. Stupid.
Oh, I didn't know that part. I just know that a lot of people were upset they handled it.
Everyone should watch the show.
Yeah. Honestly,
way different.
Honestly, I'm in the same boat of people who watched Obi-Wan instead.
I watched both.
Yeah. I hadn't watched Miss Marvel, but I did watch Obi-Wan, and that is also good. Maybe next time we can talk about, the struggles of Star Wars.
Next time we're gonna...
Oh, right. We don't have to say it now. We can leave our viewers in suspense.
Fine, I won't say it. We're gonna do something fun next episode.
Indeed.
Everyone is going to love it.
So, does this feel like a good... I feel like this is a good time
I feel like it does, honestly.
Right. Well, I would like to thank everyone who tuned in to the first episode of the Common Sense Podcast. Thank you for joining me, Finley. And
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for letting us join together.
Yeah.
And we will see you all next time. Goodbye.
Farewell.